Check out the Christmas haul.
Wow.
This one's for you, Grandma. Thanks. Ooh. Wow.
Oh. Ah. Mmm. That's it, I'm not going.
What's up, guys? I hope y'all had a Merry Christmas. Let's get right into this episode of Let's Build This. So today we're going to be building probably one of the most important pieces in a woodworker's arsenal, wooden mallet. And I believe every woodworker has one of these. They're great for the fine adjustments of things, whenever you need to use a chisel on something, whenever you want to hammer something without marring up the wood. But this is like the most simple one that I could think of how to make. And so today we're going to build it. Today we're going to be using a piece of reclaimed wood that I just found in my barn. It's got holes in it. That doesn't matter.
It in fact did matter.
So let's take a measurement. This is 1¼ by 1½. And right now we have about 2 foot, just shy of 2 foot to work with. This is exactly what I used to make this. And also this 7 to 8-inch diameter by 36 in length dowel rod that I picked up at Walmart. So if you look closely, you can see that the end grain faces the hammering side. And that's not just for looks, it's also for strength and rigidity. When you're hammering on things, a lot of people use end grain for butcher blocks. This is the same exact reason. We want this to be strong and we want it to last. So here's our end grain. And because of that, we're going to be cutting it like this and putting 4 pieces together to make the end grain of the hammer. And as you can see, mine's a little tapered. I wanted it that way. Also tapered the handle a little bit to be more towards one side when I'm choking up on something and farther away whenever I'm farther off the handle. So this mallet came out to be about 4 inches. We're going to need 4 pieces at 4 inches. I think I learned from last time. I'm going to keep my sausage fingers out of the way. Look at that. You can read it. I can read it. Yeah. Let's head on over to the janky miter saw and get her ripped up. Rinse and repeat. And now we have wood. So I've already gone ahead and chose which direction I want these facing. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark on these just so I know how to line them up later. This doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a pattern that you yourself can recognize as you're working with these pieces of wood, how it goes back together. And that's all I did. That way, no matter how these go or how they end up, they'll always come back together like this. Okay, so maybe you were lucky enough this Christmas that your family got you something special, like a planer. Wink, wink. Unfortunately for me, my family doesn't love me. No, I'm just kidding. I did not get a planer. I got an awesome sweater, though. Thanks, Grandma. So I had to go get my own, and on a budget. So here's your number 33 Harbor Freight hand planer, or bench planer. So today we're going to be using that. If you have access to an electric hand planer, or even better, a table planer, by all means use that. But as you've come to see, I do things the hard way.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really.
So we got our wood, and we got our hand planer. And make no mistake, this was an absolute pain in the butt to sharpen and set up. And I still don't think it's absolutely perfect, but I think it'll be enough to do the job. And if not, we can always wing it.
We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway.
Ow! What a dummy. Splinters are no joke. One thing I will say is you have to use this thing with authority. Don't think you're just going to go in real smooth and get a clean cut. You've really honestly got to just powerhouse it. Pause. No, don't listen to that. Just do it the right way. Don't listen to me, really. Unpause. But if you can tell already, those sides have come down and made this much, much flatter. Okay, so I know what I said earlier about, oh yeah, it does the job and it's smooth. It does. It just takes forever. So I decided to do some sketchy stuff. And for that reason, I'm not allowed to film it. Because if my wife saw it, she wouldn't allow me to film anything again. I mean, I did it the safe way, and all I used was the planer. Real quick, because I don't think she's watching the whole videos that I put out. Normally, on a miter saw or a chop saw, you cut like this, against the grain. But I was setting it up and doing it like this, with the grain. And that is a no-no. Don't do this. This is a bad idea. Unless you want an awesome hammer. Yeah! Woo! So, after doing some not so OSHA approved things, you can see that our edges line up a lot smoother and a lot better. And we're going to go ahead and sand this a little bit more. But from here, really, it's just a glue up. And it doesn't matter so much of the shape of the outside. This one's a little wonky and goofy. We're just going to glue it up this way, and then we'll shape it on the miter saw afterwards to get that desired shape that we want. So let's get to it. And just so no one roasts me in the comments and my wife doesn't kill me, I did use a makeshift fence, and I did clamp my piece down to here. My hands were not that close to it. So everything was safe. I like to keep whatever I'm working on close by, just for inspiration and reference. So today we're going to be using the Type Bond 2. I like using Type Bond 2 with just about everything. It sets really fast. It says it got 30 minutes and then 24 hours for stress. So glue up time only takes about 30 minutes. I normally give it about 2 hours just to be safe. But then after 2 hours, I mean, you can cut this and shape this however you want. But I would probably give it a full day before you go beating on stuff with it. So here's why we made those marks. Now we know exactly how this glues up, exactly what sides need glue and what doesn't.
You don't say!
And I know this is a controversy, or this seems to be a controversial topic, but I am on the glue both sides end of the spectrum. Some people say, oh, you only need to glue one. I always feel safer just gluing both, especially with something that's going to be used in this way. Maybe not so much small furniture or small decorations, but especially something that you're going to be beating on. Just go the extra step. Just add glue on both sides. It doesn't hurt anything. As you can see, there's a little bit of nail holes still. It's not going to hurt anything. I've made several of these before. Never had one break. Pro tip, don't forget to open it.
Round one.
So after finding every clamp comically available, just so that I could do this the hard way, we're going to let this dry for a little bit and we'll be back. So it's been about 2 hours, and I came back in the shop to check on the glue up, and this glue is still very tacky, as you can see. So I don't trust that to start working on it, so let's get at it tomorrow.
Round two.
So it's the next day, and we're going to remove all of these clamps. So if you remember, we cleaned up and sanded all the inside so that the joints would meet up cleanly, even though they're not great. Who cares? The outside, however, is atrocious. So we're going to do some sketchy stuff and get that fixed up. So we're just going to start with the simple cuts that I won't get killed for showing you, and that's just cutting the end grain off. Now this next part, I can't show you. So because I don't want to have evidence for my wife to use against me when I have to go to the hospital, potentially, I'm not going to show you me doing it, but I'll explain it to you. I have a temporary fence in the back, and I'm going to be cutting with the grain, which you don't want to do on a miter saw. Just a lot of kickback, it's a lot harder on the blade, and not so safe for the digits. So clamp your work down. That's totally what I'm going to do. I'm absolutely going to clamp my work down. So I know I was joking, but I did use a clamp. I would never put my hands near the actual saw. That would be dumb. And this is why. This piece of wood had a stray nail in it, and as I was cutting it, my miter saw found it and pulled it up, and pulled my clamp up, and my fence, and shot a piece of wood back there, thankfully, on my digiture here. So, although I do like to joke a lot, please be safe. So, this was that nail that I eventually pried out. You can see the hole where it was, but I actually ended up finding another one. Thankfully this time I wasn't trying to rush, and I went a little bit slower. And most miter saws have the capability to cut through metal if you just take it slow. And thankfully no kickback, no problems, but look, everything is smooth and ready to be a hammer. So I did build a little stop for this, so that all I have to do is hold that up there like that. I cannot reiterate enough, please be safe. And also, this is like 15-20 minutes of sanding sped up really fast. And a mediocre dot for a hole that I'm eventually going to drill and mess up. And here we are drilling and messing it up. Pause. I swear if I could go back in time, I would tell myself, just take your time and drill out the hole properly. Unpause. Sometimes stuff happens. Well, I can honestly say I've never had that happen before. Check that out. If you look closely, it didn't even split on the seam. This piece actually split itself. So this is just for my kids to play with when they're in the shop with me. So I'm not going to go through the trouble of making another one. I'm just going to glue this up. The video is just going to take a little longer than I was expecting. And I've learned my lesson from last time, and there's no way I'm putting this amount again. No, sir. We're going full bottle, baby. Yeah, slather that on there. And if my family is watching this, I'm so sorry to disappoint you. So we'll let that dry, and I'll see you back in a few hours.
Round 3.
So what you see here is me doing it the hard way again, because I just didn't have the drill bit size for that 7/8 inch diameter dowel rod. Just get the right size. You're just going to go through so much more pain and trouble trying to make it work. But here we are, making it work, as always. Do I have to do this? Ugh. And now for your mid-video comic relief break. What is actually wrong with me? back to actually working. So I have a little bit of an issue. There's cracks because of when it split, some of the wood came out. Just little places. So we're basically going to do a little TikTok hack where you use wood glue and leftover sawdust. And the only thing I can say is just really make sure that you get that glue into every crack and crevice you're trying to fill. And I mean really get it in there. And you'll see I even push the glue in there really hard. But then all you gotta do is put the sawdust on there and just shove it in as hard as you can. It's a real easy fix. Most of the time you can't even tell that you did it. And now I'm just speeding up the process of cleaning that excess glue off the top, which I'll eventually end up sanding anyway. And like I said, here's the sanding anyway. If you don't want the ability to hang your mallet up, then just skip this part, but in layman's terms, just drilling a hole and sanding it to put the rope through. And this is my favorite part, hands down. Who doesn't like a good oil reveal? Look at that shine. Ooh boy, she's pretty. The things we do for our kids. And this really did turn out a lot better than I was expecting, especially with all the mishaps and problems that we had. But honestly, would it even really be woodworking if we didn't have problems? So I'm using boiled linseed oil, and really all you do is apply it and then wipe it off. That simple. I went ahead and did you a favor by speeding up this next part because it took me unnecessarily long to tie a simple knot. There she is. Super pretty. Now let's give her to her new owner. So Luke, do you know why you're out here? No. Okay. You like that hammer on the table there?
Yeah.
Yeah? You said you wanted one, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Dad, I made you one. What do you think?
It's good.
You like it?
Yeah.
It's yours. You do what you want with it. Go for it. Hit something. Here, let's play whack-a-mole. What? You like it?
Yeah. I'm not playing again.
It was so fulfilling to see the joy on his little face as he hammered away at those little pegs. So do your kids a favor. Go make them a mallet.